Feeling self-conscious about your body is a normal part of adolescence. But for a physical condition that severely impairs self-esteem, plastic surgery can be an option. Where do parents draw the line? When a young girl just wants bigger breasts versus a teen who wants a smaller nose? Here to give us more insight on this issue is Dr. Frederick Lukash, an adolescent plastic surgeon. Welcome, Dr. Lukash.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
This is an interesting topic. First, I'd like to hear a little bit more about pediatric, or in your case, adolescent plastic surgery. What does that entail? What types of patients do you see?
Well, it's an entire spectrum ranging from when they're born with birth defects right through youth, where it may be ears that need to be pinned back, or it may be in early teens and mid-teens with noses, or it may be breast reductions or asymmetrical breasts. I consider the adolescent period to be right up until age 22, when they're no longer in the nest, so to speak.
Right, and there's been discussion or some controversy about this whole idea of going through that adolescent period. It's a normal time where people have low self-esteem. You know, I've heard controversy. Does plastic surgery make sense? Does it not? But my understanding is you feel very strongly about this.
Well, I feel very strongly that we as physicians who deal with quality of life issues are trying to solve certain problems, and that there may be certain circumstances with certain individuals under certain set of conditions where resolving a physical issue may indeed take care of a certain emotional angst. Certainly not advocating it as a panacea for all the adolescent whims of growing older.
Right. Are there studies? I mean, do you follow patients along to sort of learn and see, you know, let's say they have a self-esteem problem at adolescence, have surgery for a severe physical problem, and then long-term, down the line, are there studies to say what are the outcomes, how they do? Do they fare better?
Well, you know, I'm not 100% sure about everyone else, but I've been doing my own studies, because from the time of the early children when I see them, I've been having them draw me pictures about their before and after experiences, and then I've followed these children over 20 and 30-year periods, so I've gotten to see their growth and development. I've also followed children that I've done cleft lips and palates on and watched them as they've grown up and seen how they have moved into feeling like the typical average kid, but maybe not quite as average as the other child, because they still have that little stigma of that cleft lip and palate. So I see their angst, I see what's bothering them, and I've begun to understand that there's a lot more to the emotional side of physical flaws. So I'm really just trying to provide one spoke on the wheel of self-esteem, one arrow in the quiver of trying to help them get through their lives when it's appropriate.
I've looked at your photos, and I'd like to show the audience as well. They are, you know, they seem very dramatic. Could you tell us a story about each of the photos that you've included? They're quite extraordinary.
Absolutely. This, on the left, you're looking at a child who is dark, amorphous in the background, which depicts extreme low self-esteem, a very low view of themselves. And there's the surgeon in the front, in color, representing all sorts of hope and emotional solution to this individual. And then in the after, the surgeon is now in the background, amorphous, nondescript, and there's the young girl who initially looks like a typical teenager, and then afterwards sees herself as a cheerleader, which, after all, is sort of the quintessential American girl.
Yeah, so how about the next, let's take a look at the next picture.
This is the picture that always engenders the most emotion, and that is a young boy whose ears were sticking way out, and he has tears in there, he's got a frown, it's depicting everything non-verbally that you can possibly come up with his angst. And there he is afterwards, he's got a smile, he's got small ears, and the sun is out. And I've actually stayed in contact with this child, and I've just spoken with him. He's now 21 years old, 22 years old, and he is so happy with his life, and he can actually remember how he was picked on way back when. And so clearly I got him at a fork in the road and did the right thing for him, and his life now is without the worry and the angst of that physical problem.
Yeah, I'd like to move on to the third picture, just sort of give us a sense of kind of more, you know, some people might say a more cosmetic problem, but
Well, this is, I think it's all quality of life related issues. And this is a young girl in the center on the left who, for her, was a very small child with a very large nose. And the other girls have sort of, come up with a Lord of the Flies scenario where they're picking on her and she's being, further derided, and her emotional well-being and her ego is suffering. And ultimately, the decision was made to do a rhinoplasty on her, even though she was rather young, but the emotional angst was outweighing the physical timing that might more or less be considered the most ideal. But afterwards, she feels complete. She's with her friends. You can see all the lockers in the back and all the clothing there. She's really blended in. And, you could argue that maybe she should have come into her own right on her own. But
yeah.
As a physician, we're just trying to do the right thing for the right individual at the right time.
Yeah, I understand you are writing a book.
I am writing a book on body image and self-esteem as it relates to teens.
Thank you very much. That's all the time we have today. But again, thank you, Dr. Lukash.
Thank you
really
very much.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
But to find out more about other health-related information, as well as what we spoke about today, you can check our website at abcnews.com. From all of us at the Healthy Life production team, we wish you good health.